Hello everybody and welcome to what is the most exciting, important video I've ever filmed for this channel. Regular viewers, you're probably wondering where I am right now. Well, today's video is that story. A story of risk, a story of patience, a story of love for my garden that's been years in the making. Well, not this video specifically. I only found out I could make this video 2 days ago, but I'm incredibly excited to share this with you and you're getting the first look. So let's get into it. Over the last 5 years then, I've made nearly 300 videos talking about my passion for plants, sharing my love for the unusual, the exotic, the rare, the beautiful. I've visited some incredible gardens put together by the most talented, enthusiastic and friendly gardeners. And I've also really enjoyed sharing life through the seasons and progress right here in our North Lincolnshire jungle garden. We've been here now just over 5 years, and this garden, at 7.5 metres wide by around 65 metres long, it's given me room to dream and then some. It was a bit of a stretch initially, but we live fairly modestly. We know there's projects that we can't do until we can afford them, and this was always supposed to be our forever home. A garden for me especially, that I wanted to love and look after for as long as I possibly can. But you can't help dreaming and wanting more, can you? Maybe it's human nature. Our garden is around 7.5 metres wide, so as much as the planting makes it look bigger, it's still a relatively narrow garden, particularly given its length. And the plant fanatic and garden designer parts of me, they dream about a larger space. Let's face it, happiness is about appreciating what you've got. And most of the problems in this world come from people wanting more land, more stuff. But I can't help feeling, as I've looked around over the years, a larger space, it will give so much more potential for beautiful planting, so much more room for our now 3-year-old daughter Harriet to run around to her heart's content, and so much more space for our 2 dogs, Max and Remy, to really go wild. If I'm completely honest, a larger garden is something I've dreamed about since not long after we moved in, something that's really taken up part of my brain. A garden like this then would work very well indeed. At 15 metres wide, it's twice the width of our jungle garden. Just look at all this space. And when it comes to length as well, it's not 20 metres long, it's not 40 metres long, it's over 60 metres long. So including the bit that goes around close to the houses, this garden is over 1,000 square metres of real potential. Wow. There's a beautiful native hedge. You've got so much space around us. There's a gorgeous mature apple tree, some beautiful smaller apple trees, other fruits behind us there. And then you've got all this amazing space. But closer to you as well, there's an existing polytunnel already built up. So much potential, so many plans. There's a lot I could do with this space. On a rainy December day though, with construction noise in the background, is the potential enough to move on from my old dreams, visions, after so much hard work over the years? Even though we've only been here just over 5 years, there's been a lot of love in this garden, a lot of memories, projects that I've enjoyed finishing and filming for you, others which maybe haven't got finished. And then when it comes to the plants, there's so many plants here which I know quite simply couldn't be moved. Either they wouldn't tolerate it or I wouldn't anymore. There's a lot in this garden which is very much set in place. In just my last video, I spoke about plants like this Trachycarpus nova. I looked after it in a small pot for a few years, then planted it out, and now look at it. This stunning beauty. This won't enjoy being moved. There's plants here, just like me, that have got the roots well and truly into the ground. There's parts of the planting that have taken years to get half right. There's parts like this which have always felt right from the very first months that we moved in. And there's other parts of the garden that aren't quite right yet, but I finally think I know what to do with them. When we moved here in 2020, it took around 16 or 17 Luton van trips to move everything to this house and garden. 2 for the house stuff, 15 for the garden. There's so many plants, big trees, that I physically couldn't move even if I wanted to. It's a tricky one. This garden, which I've known and loved over the years, and I hope you have too, this was supposed to be our forever garden, my forever garden. And a lot of these plants, they're now happy in their homes. Moving away from it is not something I'd ever want to face. So it's a good job I won't have to. Yes, this amazing new space is an addition to our current exotic jungle and tropical style garden, not replacing it. Sorry for the minor heart attack there. But the truth is, I'd discussed the possibility, the dream of this happening with our neighbour Paul not long after we first moved in. One particularly wise comment on one of my early videos, which has stuck with me over the years, is that even with the large garden that we had, we'd obviously moved from a very small garden with quite a collection of potted plants. Even with that huge space, if I kept on buying plants, adding to the collection, I'd soon fill it up a lot quicker than I expected to. And that rather than just buying plants, I should be looking towards getting more space, more garden land. And I listened to that comment. Not the bit about stopping buying plants, that definitely didn't happen. But when it came to dreaming, truth be told, the seeds of actually getting this garden land here had already been planted, but that comment definitely spurred the idea on. Our neighbour Paul then, who we didn't know before we moved in, he's owned this land for more than 50 years, during which time it's seen fruit, it's seen flowers, it's seen family memories. But a couple of years ago, Paul and his family approached us to ask us, as he unfortunately isn't able to enjoy the land as much as he wants to, they approached us to see if we wanted first refusal on this land. I mean, what an absolute privilege and joy to actually take on a piece of land which has seen so much love and happiness over the years, to get the chance to write our own chapter. For that opportunity and his patience, we really are incredibly forever grateful. Obviously, I jumped at the opportunity to take on this absolute dream. But let's be realistic though, even at the bottom end of the valuation, buying this land will still be a substantial amount of money, particularly as we've got a young family and with how expensive everything is these days. For us, it's not the kind of cash that we could have ever just got together, and it needed a remortgage, which, as we're locked into a 5-year agreement, meant we had to wait until this year to make it happen. Earlier this year then, we went to our mortgage advisor, we got everything applied for, 1,500 square metres total of garden. What an exciting opportunity, what potential. I mean, honestly, the dreaming, the plans, the planting could finally start to begin. A new chapter of George's Jungle Garden was about to start, and that chapter starts now. That was the kind of video I was looking forward to making so much in the summer. But unfortunately, our mortgage request was declined. We both work hard, my wife especially. She works weekends and often late shifts, while I work longer days during the week. But unfortunately, with childcare costs and also the ridiculously low interest rate we were on previously, unfortunately we're told it just couldn't work out. I know in this day and age of social media, you're supposed to be showing off how much you earn and own, but unfortunately for this video, a little bit of reality hit home. I'm not obviously saying that for any kind of sympathy. We're in an immensely privileged position to have a warm house, to have food in front of us, to have any kind of garden at all. But you know what they say, comparison really can be the thief of joy if you let it. And knowing that that land was an opportunity that no longer existed, that is frustrating, incredibly hard to deal with. But just as dreams that you've looked forward to for years can come to a sudden end, good news can also quickly arrive. And this summer, we found out we're expecting another child, more recently confirmed as a little sister for Harriet, due in February. We're all incredibly excited, happy and grateful. Harriet particularly is looking forward to being a big sister so much, even if she has her own ideas about what that sister should be called. Yes, it's definitely true what they say. There's nothing like an addition to or loss from the family to really make you realise and appreciate what's truly important in life. I may not have got the extra garden land of my dreams. Things are going to be tight for a while. The idea of buying a new video camera, that is certainly gone right now. But let's face it, like I said earlier, happiness is really about appreciating what you've got right in front of you, and sometimes less is more. So maybe starting again doesn't mean literally starting with a brand new piece of garden land. Maybe it just means I need to change the way I look at our current garden. Let's face it, there's so many projects, the 5 in particular, that I haven't finished. They need so much more energy and work to finish off. There's areas of planting, there's so much potential right here under my face. And sometimes you can just look too far away and miss what's right in front of you. There's so much I can do here in the current garden. I can really make it beautiful, really make it mine. So I guess going forwards, we'll see what happens in the future. But right now, I guess it's a case of looking at what I've currently got with more gratitude, if not necessarily money, energy, or sleep. There is, though, something I should mention. I'm not a big believer in phrases like, what is meant for you will never pass you by, and good things come to those who wait, when they're offered as consolation when things just don't work out. Sure, if something's out of your control, you have to be at peace with it. You have to just let it go. But if there's any shred, any element of changing the circumstances under your control, you have to work for it. You've got to fight for it. Yes, even with the pleasure and privilege of more family duties on the horizon, and our already limited free time, money and energy suddenly looking even more limited, I wanted the garden to happen. Deep down, I knew I had to. We knew, hand on heart, that we could afford the new payments. Yes, things would definitely be tight, but we knew we could make it happen. And we knew that Paul wanted us to have the garden land too. So we went back to the mortgage advisor. We applied for a different mortgage, and that was approved. Finally, the time to start dreaming was actually here. The time to start buying some cool, exciting, special trees, and the time to really start dreaming. As soon as we had the money, it was now time to go to the solicitors and get everything quickly drawn up so I could get on with planting the trees in the ground, getting the autumn bulbs in, and really start the dream happening. Sorry, did I just say quickly and solicitors in the same sentence? Oh dear. Yes, as you're probably aware, and we definitely already knew, dealings with solicitors and financial companies can be painful, drawn out, and incredibly expensive. We moved here in 2020. You know what was going on that year. And this house, it took a lot of work. It was over 6 months before we could move in, and we thought that was painful. There's no world in which we thought buying this garden land would take any amount of time like that. Definitely not at all. Of course, you naively think we want to buy the land, Paul wants to sell it. Everything is absolutely fine. There's no external legal factors and no reasons why we shouldn't have it. What's the problem then? But still, despite that, it's taken over 5 times as long as the initial estimate and cost over twice as much. So the dream of a new video camera is definitely now pushed well into the future. I won't dwell on it or go into unnecessary details because it's incredibly boring and I respect your time. But let's face it, the past 6 months, the past few months, and especially the past couple of weeks has been so incredibly stressful. There's nothing like being in a situation, knowing you've done everything you can to make something happen, and it's still not happening. That feeling of anxiety, the feeling of being in limbo. Like I said, I won't go into it, but instead I'll probably make this video a bit of an emotional roller coaster, so at least you get the feeling and gist of what we've gone through over the past year. We've had to be pushier and chase the issue more times than you ever feel that you should. Individually, the solicitors, very friendly people, but all together as a process, wow, has it been a headache, an absolute headache. And ultimately, there's only so much stress that you can go through. Not me necessarily, because this is my dream, what I'm working for, but for my wife, who's heavily pregnant, and all this stuff, it's been going on for the best part of a year. You have to put an end to that. So this week, we said, if it isn't finished by the end of Wednesday, that's it, we walk away. We cut our losses, and unfortunately, we can't make it happen. So it's a good job that at 3:20 on the very last day, we finally got the call. The land was ours. Today is actually the very first day I've been able to come out and see our brand new garden land in daylight, or nearly daylight anyway. It's been such a happy but challenging year. It really has. And to finally stand and see this beautiful garden space, what an absolute privilege. And I've got to say a huge thank you to every single one of you who watches my videos, especially to Angie, David, Paul, Chris, Dougie, Michelle, Ewan, those of you who have made generous one-off or monthly donations to my Ko-fi link, or coffee, however you pronounce it. I put it in the description of every single video. That bit of money coming in Honestly, at times it really has made all the difference, and I hugely appreciate it. I'd obviously like to say that I've bought this entire bit of garden land with YouTube Partner Program money made from the adverts you see split into these videos. But while there are some good months, let's face it, if you want to be a millionaire, there's possibly better routes than producing seasonal and quite niche videos about obscure plants, isn't there? Definitely. When you then factor in commercial insurance, software, subscriptions, paying your taxes, all that kind of thing, that's before you even get onto buying the equipment and all the time that it takes. It definitely has to be a labour of love. But one, I've got to say, I'm enjoying more now than ever, particularly now. And for every single one of you who's watched my videos, taken the time to leave a like, leave a comment below, I read every single one of them, or subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you so much. All that helps push my channel out to more people, and it genuinely helps me really work on improving the videos that I want to make and work on my garden dream here. Yes, I'm obviously confident I could have 100,000 followers making trend-based and algorithmically tactical videos, really focusing on the things that are hitting the mainstream right now. But that's not what I want to do. I enjoy making videos about the plants I want to talk about. I enjoy visiting the gardeners and the gardens that really inspire me. And I enjoy sharing what I want to share about our garden here through the seasons, doing the best I can with what I've got. And that definitely isn't going to change. Today then, I'm sharing this news on a drizzly, dark and dull December day, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Yes, tomorrow, the weather's going to be sunnier, possibly a better day for filming, no construction noise in the background, but tomorrow I've got my fatherly duties. So today, the first day, this is when I'm sharing this big news with you. Well, where do we go from here? Well, right now, to be honest with you, I'm just catching my breath. But just like the sap in spring, the excitement is rising. There's so much potential here, so much. There's wide open spaces I've never had before. A huge polytunnel all set up and ready to grow. Basically, a small field for us all to enjoy. In my next video, I'll be showing you all around the full space, looking at practical considerations and the jobs I'll be doing to get the garden started. And then following that, I'll be going through my plans, which I finally dared look at again this week. One of the comments from the solicitors we went to sign was a friendly, all this for some garden land. And yes, it's been a lot. Would I do all this for just some land though? Having land for the sake of owning it does absolutely nothing for me. Just like having a house larger than you need or possessions you don't use or value. But a garden is so much more than just the ground you walk on. A garden is what's above you. It's what's below you. It's everything around you and how that makes you and others feel. A garden is a place for stunning skies, glorious light, birdsong that speaks to you even though you don't understand a word, a place for new life, creativity, adventure, of looking after the life you nurtured during your lifetime and what will hopefully go on long after it. A garden is the opportunity to plant trees in a world where it seems like everyone else is cutting them down, to enjoy the never-ending blend of art, science and practical work in whatever way you choose, and to be more in touch with the inevitable cycle of the seasons than anywhere else in modern life. A place to experience the joy and freshness of spring, the beauty of long summer days, the bounty and rich colours of autumn, and the crisp, muted tones of winter, whilst dreaming about it all happening again. To be in touch with the present, to have dreams and plans to look forward to when times are dark, and finding amazement and comfort looking back at how things started. That is something which I'm sure will be worth all this effort one day in the very near future, and something I'd love to keep sharing with you too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. See you later.